We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Tesam and Beis in Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 39b. On the previous summer, there was a machlokas amoraim within Rabbi Yochanan. When a person protests against a chazaka, let's say he's protesting that somebody is on his property, and really it's his property, he's protesting against the machzik. So there's a machlokas amoraim within Rabbi Yochanan. How many people do you have to protest in front of? Is it in front of 2 people or is it in front of 3 people? And the Gemara suggests that maybe the machlokas amoraim is dependent on whether they agree with what Rabba Basra Daf said, because Rabba Basra Daf said that anything that is said in front of 3 people, less bamishum lishna bisha. So there's no more halachas in terms of that, in terms of malicious speech, meaning to say now that it was said in front of 3 people, it's considered essentially to be public knowledge. So if now that gets repeated somewhere else, you're not really saying any lashon hara anymore, because it's something that the public will surely find out about since it was said in front of 3 people. And so the Gemara says, Man do amar bifnei shnayim, the one who says that the protest is in front of 2 people, lesle de Rabba Basra Daf does not hold of Rabba Basra Daf. Uman do amar bifnei gimel, the one who says it needs to be in front of 3 people, isle de Rabba Basra Daf. That man do amar does hold like Rabba Basra Daf, that again, if it's said in front of 3 people, it's like public knowledge. And the Rashbam says, Uman do amar bifnei gimel, the one who says it has to be in front of 3, isle de Rabba Basra Daf holds like Rabba Basra Daf de vigimel have a gluya milsa velo betray, meaning that man do amar is going to hold that you need 3 people. It's not enough to have 2 people. You need to have 3 people in order for something to be considered public. Hilkach b'fnei beis lo have macha. Therefore, in front of 2 people is not going to be macha de lo avi de leglui, because it's not something that is going to be known, and therefore the person making the chazaka is not going to find out. So that's what the Gemara suggests, that they're arguing within what Rabba Basra Daf said. And the Gemara continues, lo no de kuli almo islahu de Rabba Basra Daf. Could be that everybody agrees with what Rabba Basra Daf says, that it takes 3 people for something to be considered like public knowledge. And so why is there a machlokas amoraim whether the protest is in front of 2 or 3? And here they're arguing about the following. Man domer b'fnei shnayim, the one who says that a protest is in front of 2 witnesses, kasavar macha shelo b'fanav lo have a macha. That man domer holds that protesting not in front of the machzik is not a protest at all. And so therefore every protest is going to be right in front of the person. He surely hears the protest. You only need 2 people to be there as witnesses. Uman domer b'fnei gimel, but the one who says that you have to protest in front of 3 people, kasavar macha shelo b'fanav have a macha, holds that a protest even not in front of the machzik is considered to be a protest. So therefore you might be protesting not in front of the machzik. You need 3 people so that the word will travel. And the Gemara continues, if you want I could say another answer. Dekuli alma macha shelo b'fanav have a macha. Everybody agrees that a macha shelo b'fanav, if it's not in front of him, it is actually a macha. And so then the question is, why should it be that 2 people is sufficient? Don't you need 3 people? But the answer is, v'hacha b'ha kamiflagi. Here they're arguing as follows. Man domer b'fnei beis savar sa'adusa ba'inan. The one who says that you need 2 people holds that you just need to have witnesses. Uman domer b'fnei gimel kasavar giluye milsa ba'inan. The one who says you need 3 people says it needs to be something where the word will travel, where it will become public knowledge to reach the machzik. And the Rashbam explains, v'hacha b'ha kamiflagi. Here they're arguing as follows. Man domer b'fnei shnayim kasavar sa'adusa ba'inan. The one who says in front of 2 says you just need witnesses. V'dai lanu b'shnei edim sheyayidu shemicha. That's enough that you have 2 witnesses know that this person protested b'soch gimel within 3 years. V'im yavo hadavar liyaznav yavo. And if the word reaches the machzik, so it'll reach the machzik, that's good enough. But the other opinion says no, giluye milsa ba'inan. We need to have that it's totally revealed, sheyeda kol ha'olam, that the whole world should know. V'kevan de noda legimel, and once 3 people know, ki'ilu noda kvar lemachzik dami, there already it's as if it got to the machzik. That's as if the whole world knows that this person protested. And the Gemara continues, Gidol bar menyume havale machol lemechuye. Gidol bar menyume had a protest to lodge, ashkechinu l'Rav Huna, u'lechia bar Rav, u'l'Rav Chilkiya bar Tuvi. He found 3 people, Rav Huna, Chia bar Rav, and Rav Chilkiya bar Tuvi, to have a yasvi. They were sitting u'mocha kamayu, so he lodged the protest in front of them. L'shana hadar asal l'mochi. The next year he came because he wanted to lodge the protest again. Amrulei, they said to him, lo tzricht, you don't need to do that. Hachi amar Rav, this is what Rav says, kevan shemicha shana rishona, once the person protested the first year, shuv eino tzarech limchos, he no longer needs to protest. And the Gemara continues, V'ika di'amri, there are those that say, Amar le Chia bar Rav, that it was Chia bar Rav who said, not in the name of Rav, but Chia bar Rav just said, Kevan shemicha shana rishona, once he protested the first year, shuvein tzarech limchos, he no longer needs to protest. Again, the same idea, but instead of quoting it in the name of Rav, Chia bar Rav just said it directly. And the Gemara continues, Amar Reish Lakish mishum bar kapara, Reish Lakish said in the name of bar kapara, V'tzarech limchos besof kol gimel v'gimel, even though you don't have to protest every year, but you do have to protest every 3 years, in order that the person does not establish a chazaka of 3 years. The Gemara says, Tehiba Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan wondered about this, that you should have to protest at the end of every 3 years. V'chi gazlan yesh lo chazaka. Does a thief get a chazaka? Once you protested the first time, you're already saying this person is a thief. Why should he be able to establish a chazaka going forward? The Gemara then questions this. Gazlan sakadayatachlu. 1 second. Do you really think he's a gazlan? This was just a protest. We haven't proven that he's stolen the property. So what do we mean that a gazlan, should a gazlan have a chazaka? But the Gemara says it means ela ki gazlan. He's somebody that's like a gazlan. There's already been a protest against him. Yesh lo chazaka. Such a person has a chazaka. Meaning Rabbi Yochanan was wondering, is it really true that you have to protest every 3 years? But the Gemara does say, Amar Rava says, Hilchasa, the halacha is tzarech limchos besof kol gimel v'gimel, that he does need a lodge of protest at the end of every 3 years. And the Gemara continues, Tani bar kapara taught, Irer chazer v'irer. Let's say again, he did lodge this protest, as we said, at the end of every 3 years. So he protested, 3 years later protested again, 3 years later protested again. And so the Gemara continues, in machmas taina rishona irer, if the subsequent protests were the same type of protest as the first one, let's say, for example, he said it was stolen in his first protest, and then in his second and his third, he keeps saying it was stolen, so then those are all good protests. Ein lo chazaka, then the person cannot establish a chazaka, because that protest is good. But if not, let's say the claim that he's making, the protest that he's making, it changes from the first to the second to the third. Meaning, let's say, for example, the first time he says it was stolen, but let's say the second time he says it was a collateral or something along those lines. So then yesh lo chazaka, then the person on the land can establish a chazaka, because essentially the second protest is nullifying the first protest by saying something different, and that allows the machzik to make a chazaka. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Nachman. Rav says that Rav Nachman says, Macha b'fnei shnayim, a protest is in front of two, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Mem Amud Aleph.